Hello students, the goal of today's video is to get you to design this sawhorse, which will be your next project. First thing that I'd like you to do is make sure that you are logged into the edu.sketchup.com app. After you log in, you will need to type here. If you click on the Untitled, it's going to be your first name, period, your last name, period, title of the project, and whatever hour that you are. After you hit save, you are going to have just a blank green screen, and we will begin designing. Before we go any further, what I'd like you to do is take the rollie of your mouse, and if you roll in and out and it zooms in and out, great. If it does not, you might have to change some of the internal settings on the actual computer. To do that, I'm going to go up to these three lines. I'm going to go down to App Settings, and then on the left-hand side, I'm going to go down to Navigation. And your settings need to look exactly the same as mine. So hit pause, look at this, and please cross-reference. So devices, mouse, two-finger swipe map to orbit. This is turned this way. Zoom is there. If your settings are the same as mine, it'll be a lot easier for you to navigate. Once again, if you are using the trackpad on a mouse, it's really, really hard to do SketchUp properly. So let's go ahead and jump in. And the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to actually draw out a rectangle, which is going to represent this particular shape right here on the ground. To do that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go on the right-hand side here to the views, click on that, and this says scenes right here. So if I click this one, you'll see each of these gives me a different type of a view. If you haven't done so already, you can go ahead and get rid of your person. But the view that I'm looking for is the top view. Okay, and I am going to start by drawing a rectangle which represents that particular side. Your rectangle is going to be 19 1/4 of an inch wide by 30 inches tall. To do that, I'm going to activate the rectangle tool by tapping the R key. Additionally, you can find the rectangle tool over here. And I'm going to begin drawing a rectangle, which is 19.25 by 30 inches tall. So I'm going to click, and I'm actually going to let go of my mouse. If you click twice and the rectangle actually turns white, you cannot edit these dimensions down below. So once again, I'm going to hit Control-Z and undo that real quick, or I can hit undo up here. Tap the R key to activate the rectangle. I'm going to click once. I'm going to drag. I'm going to let go of my mouse. And I'm going to type in 19.25, 19.25, comma 30. And if you notice down below where it says dimensions, and I can't actually put my mouse there without, this is where the 19.25 by 30 is going to appear. Now, a common mistake is you cannot actually physically click here. Once again, I'm going to have to let go of my mouse. If it's turned white, I have to redo it. I'm going to type in 19.25, comma 30, and I'm going to hit enter. And it's going to give me a rectangle which is sized accordingly. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to activate my selection tool by pressing the space bar on my keypad. Another way to do it is you can click over here, okay, and I'm going to triple click on it. 1, 2, 3, okay, 1, 2, 3, and you notice how it turns entirely blue, okay? That's one way to do it. The other way is simply to draw a box around it until it turns blue. You're going to right click and you are going to make it a group. By making it a group, what you've done is you've basically locked this, and everything else that you draw on top of this will not stick to it. That's the best way I can describe it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my line tool, which is the pencil tool over here. I can tap the L key on my keyboard, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a line down the middle there. Okay, this line down the middle is going to represent the exact center of this piece right here. Okay. This is a 2 by 6 by 4 foot long board, okay? And what we just did is we basically drew a line right there, okay? Now we are going to measure over 3 inches this way and 3 inches this way. So I'm going to go ahead, use the H key and my rollie, H key rollie, and I'm going to go ahead and change my view. You can also jump back over here and change your view back to the top view. Another thing I should mention is on your keyboard, if you're working on a desktop, if you press the F11 key, you notice how I jump into full screen and I actually get rid of all my tabs and everything else up here. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. Okay, I'm going to press the T key for tape measure, or I can jump over here and grab it here. I'm going to click here once. I'm going to move to the left, and I'm going to let go of my mouse entirely. I'm going to type in 6, enter. Okay. Actually, sorry, scratch that. I'm going to click here. I'm going to move over, and I'm going to type 3, enter. Because my board on top is actually 6 inches total. Okay. Then I'm going to press the T button again. I'm going to measure over 3 inches this direction. Press enter. And you notice how these little dots appear. Okay, these little dots represent the edges of my board. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click somewhere in the middle of the line here, and I'm going to start dragging down. Okay, and you notice how that's on the green axis. On your keyboard, if you push the arrows, so if I push the left arrow, the right arrow, it'll force me to go certain directions. Okay, so that for me, you see how that green becomes solid. That is actually my left arrow. So I'm going to drag down. I'm going to let go of my mouse, and I'm going to type in 2, enter. Next thing I can do is actually go ahead and I am going to grab the line tool and I'm going to draw a rectangle around these shapes. So I'm going to click here once. I'm going to go down until it intersects with that line. Click twice. I'm going to go over, and if you notice right there how it's not stopping in the right position and it's also stuck, if I press the L key again, what I can do is I can draw a line down to this point. Then I can connect this dot this way. And as soon as you do it right, this should actually be able to be pushed or pulled. So if I click the P button right now, you see how it doesn't allow me to push pull it. And the reason for that is I drew a line here, I drew a line here, and I drew a line here, but I did not actually connect them across the top. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Draw a line across the top. Now, if I hit the P button, you can see how I'd be able to pull up these two particular shapes. Now, I want to pull this eventually as one solid shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hit the space bar. I'm going to select this line, which I don't need anymore, hit the delete button. I'm going to select this line, which I don't need anymore, hit the delete button. I'm going to go ahead and select this line, and I'm going to hit the delete button. Okay. Now, if you did it right, you should be able to do this to it. If you didn't do it right, you probably are missing a line connection. All right. The one thing you're going to notice is that the top of our sawhorse actually has a 12-degree bevel on it. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my view back to sort of an up and down view, or an aerial view, or a plan view, if you want to be precise. And on the left-hand side, I'm going to go over the tape measure tool. And I need to find this particular tool right here, which if you hover over it, says Protractor. Okay. With the Protractor, you notice how I'm on the blue axis, okay? And I am going to click once here, click twice here, and I'm going to start changing my angle. If you notice in the bottom right corner right here, I'm at a 130-degree angle. The angle that I want to specify is 12 degrees. So I'm going to type in 1, 2, I'm going to hit enter, okay? Now I'm going to go over here with the Protractor, click once, click twice, and I'm going to go this direction, and I'm going to type in 1, 2, or 12 degrees. And now I have two lines which I can trace on top of. Next thing I'm going to do is grab the line tool, and I'm going to connect it from dotted to dotted. Hit the L button again, dotted to dotted, okay? And now what I should be able to do is actually pull this up by 48 inches and hit enter. I do not need these lines anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and select those with the spacebar tool, or the pointer tool, which is located over here. I'm going to go ahead and select this one. I don't need that. And there's actually a line, I believe, right here, which I can delete. Okay. The final thing that you're going to do for this video is actually lock this piece so that the stuff that you draw on top of it does not stick to it. So to lock it, I am going to triple click on it, 1, 2, 3, right click and hit make group. I'm going to pause there, and if you are at this point and your design looks correct, you can move on to the second video.